Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. So you've been a great performer and you've achieved high levels of success and you're continuing going on. And then all of a sudden, maybe you start making some excuses. Maybe you have some great ideas, but you don't follow through. Maybe all of a sudden mediocre is great. It's just perfect for you. Complacency. Do you think you're complacent? Do you know many leaders who would say, I'm complacent? Many people wouldn't admit to that, but many people haven't even thought about what complacency is. When you think about complacency, it's around us every day. It's around us in many of our individuals who we see performing at work. It's around in workplaces, and it's around in organizations. And as you stop and think about complacency, and you look at our engagement numbers in our world today, there's lots of complacency going on. So what can we do when we think about us becoming complacent? You know, some of those signs that we need to look for are, first is mediocre okay. That all of a sudden you used to require or you used to love everything being at the best. And now incremental growth is just fine. Or, you know, what we didn't quite meet our needs and expectations, but it was still okay. That's one sign. Another sign is making excuses. That we find obstacles and barriers to get in our way. The things that we used to be optimistic about happening, those things that we could see and envision, all of a sudden became not reality. And that's just fine. That we would come up with obstacles and barriers. Another thing is, are we teachable anymore? You know, sometimes when we want to get better, we have that desire to grow and get better. And sometimes we go flat. People try to teach us, they give us feedback, and we're really just not interested. And those are those things when you think about, do I want to grow and do I want to excel? And you're really not interested, that you're really thinking, you know what, my way's just fine. So those are some ways to think about complacency. And when we think about our creativity and our ideation, some of us naturally have us, some of those of us don't, but we're usually coming up with better ways to do processes, to better ways to implement new ideas and new ways of doing things. And all of a sudden, that doesn't happen. So those are signs of complacency. So when we think about complacency, why do we get complacent? You know, sometimes it's just that we're not feeling appreciated, that all of a sudden we made that level of success that we thought was what we really wanted it to be, and we got there and went, wow, is this it? Is this what it feels like? And so we really have to think about how can we dig deeper into understanding what it is for us to make us grow and excel. So it may be the role that we're in, right? The role may need to grow and expand, that we may need to think about what are ways for me to continue using my talents and my skills and my experience. Two is it could be the organization. Sometimes we've grown in an organization and we need more, so we have to be thinking about what is that? Does this organization have what I need? Because if you can imagine when we look around ourselves and we want to grow and expand, and maybe we're not in an environment that allows that or has the capabilities or opportunities, we have to think about what does that look like? How can we sit down with our manager? How can we be creative about how we can grow? There's really three levels of when you think about yourself in terms of thinking of complacency. One is just pleasure. You know, sometimes we think about there's fun things to do, so we could get things that are fun, but they're temporary. You know, it's just like those quick hits that maybe I can work on a project or maybe I can do this and this, and that will be fun. It'll give us a little bit of pleasure, but it maybe won't sustain itself. The second level is passion. So maybe think about some things that you're passionate about. What are you passionate about that you could get involved in? Maybe within the organization, maybe outside the organization, in terms of what are some of those areas that can use those passions and loves that I have to contribute and to make me feel more fulfilled. Because that complacency piece is about contentment. It's about not being fulfilled to that level that you can. And three is purpose. What is something that you are giving back that's greater than you? Something that's bigger, something that you know gives you that fire in your belly, something that you know that is more than ourselves, that it's just not about us, it's about others. It's about giving back, it's about expanding, it's about making a difference. So when you think about complacency, lots of times we're maybe wanting to move out of complacency. We say, how do we move to that next level? How do we get there? And you know, the pleasure's great, temporary. The passion is good because we need to find that. But really, when it sits down and makes a difference, when we feel that there's growth and not just contentment, it comes from that purpose. It comes from that drive. It comes from that fire in your belly that it's about others, that it's not just about ourselves. So we really have to step back and say, am I complacent? Am I complacent in my role? Am I complacent in life? Because really when we think about our competence and if we're competent and confident and we don't have challenges, that's when we can become complacent. So sometimes, again, it might be our environment, it might be other things around us, but we have the opportunity to make a difference. We have that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm confident in what I do, and I know I can contribute in a bigger way, therefore I won't become complacent. So for positive charge, I want you to step back and think. Think about number 1, am I complacent? 2, if so, why? And 3, really, where am I in my life, and can I contribute in a bigger way so I can therefore not become complacent? So we don't stop and think about complacency. We usually think about the next level and the goals and that success. But there's points of our life that will continue, that when we reach those levels of success, we may become complacent. Sometimes we're just flat, and sometimes we're just off. So when you hit those times and those periods, those moments that you're not quite sure, just step back and evaluate. Look inside and decide how you can move above complacency. Thank you for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.